It's Wednesday, March 25th, 2020, and here's what's happening. Testing in Chautauqua County now confirming a third person is positive for COVID-19. Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell joins us live with an update. Plus, the latest on the federal government's efforts to pass a virus relief package.
And the clouds are starting to break up across the area, but that's not going to be lasting long come tomorrow and especially the weekend. We'll talk about it and more as the news at noon starts right now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Another person in Chautauqua County has tested positive for COVID-19, the novel coronavirus. Public Health Director Christine Schuyler says that the person resides in the Asheville area and had recent travel to New York City. Officials say it is very likely that the county will have more confirmed cases in the coming days. They say the goal is to identify new cases and quickly prevent or limit secondary exposures to ensure public health and safety. There are 14 people under a mandatory quarantine who have a confirmed case or who are in a household with a confirmed case. There are 9 in a precautionary quarantine and 40 under mandatory isolation. Public health nurses are continuing their epidemiology investigations to identify the close contacts of those with confirmed cases of COVID-19. Now, once identified, they will notify the close household and proximal contacts of the potential exposure to the virus, and then they are placed under the appropriate level of quarantine to monitor for symptoms. Coming up, Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell will join us live to talk more about the county's efforts to combat the virus. That interview just 7 minutes away. Well, a big bipartisan moment early this morning in Washington, D.C., where U.S. lawmakers have come to terms on the $2 trillion stimulus package. John Lawrence has more for us from the Capitol.
The stalemate is over.
At last, we have a deal.
After days of back and forth, the White House and senators agree on a package aimed to boost the COVID-19 ravaged U.S. economy.
To all Americans, I say, help is on the way, big help and quick help.
At $2 trillion, this is one of the most expensive and far-reaching deals ever made in Congress.
It's good news for the doctors and nurses in emergency rooms around the country who are waiting for more masks and more funding. It's good news for families all across America.
While all the details haven't been released yet, the breakdown includes $250 billion for direct payments to individuals and families and $350 billion in small business loans. There is also $250 billion in unemployment benefits and $500 billion for business loans.
We're going to take up and pass this package to care for those who are now caring for us and help carry millions of Americans through these dark economic times.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
All right, John, thank you very much for that. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says the Senate will move to pass the legislation later on today. Well, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is telling the federal government that he needs their help and he needs it now. In an emotional news conference yesterday, the governor demanded that thousands of ventilators from federal stockpiles be rushed to the state. Cuomo says New York urgently needs 30,000 more of them, but is only getting a fraction of that.
FEMA says we're sending 400 ventilators. Really? What am I going to do with 400 ventilators when I need 30,000? You pick the 26,000 people who are going to die because you only sent 400 ventilators.
Now, Cuomo spoke as the number of coronavirus cases in the state surged to over more than 25,000, and that's more than half of all the cases in the nation. Although Cuomo said despite the surge, his state could still be some 2 weeks away from the peak of the coronavirus crisis. Well, the American Red Cross is holding several blood drives this week to make up for shortages due to this outbreak. Jay Bonafide, he's with the Red Cross. He says the shortage is caused by an unprecedented number of blood drive cancellations during the outbreak. Bonafide explained that donating blood is a safe process, and furthermore that the Red Cross has taken social distancing steps to ease the process.
Taking the temperature of everyone who enters the blood center before they enter to make sure they're healthy, and if they do have a fever, they're not allowed to enter. We're doing that outside the door. While they're doing that, they're going to put some hand sanitizer in your hand, and that's going to be available throughout the process. They're wiping down the beds and the other donor-facing things that donors may touch more regularly than they already do in order to ensure the safety. And, we talked about that social distancing. Wherever possible, we're doing bed spacing. We're spreading the beds out as far apart as we can, and trying to get that minimum of 6 feet.
Now on Thursday, a drive will take place at the Red Cross headquarters here in Jamestown from 12:30 to 5:30. Blood drives at the Randolph and Asheville fire departments will take place Friday from 1 to 6. A full list of the drives and how residents are encouraged to help is posted at redcrossblood.org. Well, in an attempt to help the community break away from the novel coronavirus pandemic, the Jamestown Renaissance Corporation is partnering with a local business to host a special light decorating contest. Now, the contest is a partnership between the JRC and Chautauqua Sign. It's open to all residents of the city of Jamestown and towns of Ellicott, Kyantone, and Bust-I. Entries are being accepted online starting today and will run through April 5th. Entries will need to include one photo of the decorations. Online voting for winners will take place from April 8th through the 14th. Now, Chautauqua Sign first brought the idea to the corporation as a way to help the community take a break from the virus. They made a donation towards some prizes along with a contribution from the Renaissance Corporation and Jamestown Up Close. Now, currently there will be at least 3 local prize gift cards, but they are seeking more donations. For official contest rules and more information, visit jamestownupclose.com/lights. The event is also posted on Facebook under the Community of Lights name. And it's really cool to see that the community is still coming together, even though we're practicing safe social distancing. And it seems like, to me anyways, it's almost like this is kind of reviving that whole Christmas lights fever that happens across the county, where so many people decorate their houses. Only now, at least, we can do it without having to deal with all that frigid temperature and snow. Hopefully everybody is having a good day. We thank you so much for joining us here on WNY News Now. Hello to Bonnie, hello to David, Lori, good afternoon to you. Hello to Joanna, Christine, Mike, Jay, and Joseph. We appreciate you all being here. And again, we appreciate you for trusting us for putting facts over fear as we move through this process. Again, if you have any questions for us, please let us know in the comments below. Send us a message on Facebook, and we will try our best to get those answered from county officials because there is a lot of uncertainty during this time, but we want to let you know that we're trying to bring a little bit of sanity to the world out there. Well, let's switch gears and go to Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter with a check of our weather forecast. And Dakota, I'm hoping to get out this afternoon for a walk. Do you think I'll be able to do that?
I mean, I think for this afternoon, I think you'll be okay. And speaking about, the Christmas lights in March, it's Christmas in March. Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? Here's a look at First Defense Doppler. We had a few rain showers that moved through this morning, especially out to the eastern southern tier. A lot of this has since started to taper off, so the afternoon will be dry, and the clouds are already starting to actually break apart across the western southern tier near the Lake Erie shoreline. Cloud breaks will still be possible further inland, but there'll be more clouds a little bit more inland, so don't expect a whole lot of sunshine the further away from the lake you go, but I think we will break the clouds up a little bit. Right now, we're at 43 at the airport. This is part of the reason why we're warmer. Southerly wind starting to come in, even with the cloud cover. That southerly wind is starting to penetrate through some of that cloud cover, and the wind chill's down to 36 degrees right now at the airport. That's what it feels like when you step out right now. We had a little bit of fog this morning. That's all burned off. Everybody doing good. Basically, in this department, 10-mile visibility means there's no fog out there, so we won't have to contend with that through the afternoon. So an early shower or sprinkle, that tapers off for the afternoon hours. Mostly cloudy. Some spots will go to partly cloudy skies, maybe some overcast skies skies way inland, maybe across the eastern part of Cat County going into Allegheny County. These are the high temperatures today. 44 on the highest hills to 56 near the Lake Erie shoreline. There's your southerly wind of 6 to 12 miles per hour. But things get a little bit more active as we head into Thursday afternoon, and big changes for the weekend. We'll talk about it in full detail in a few minutes. Jay, back to you.
All right, Dakota, thank you very much. Coming up next, Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell joins us live with more on the effort to contain the novel coronavirus pandemic. This a day after a third case was confirmed here locally. That interview is just 60 seconds away.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
This is Christine Schuyler, Chautauqua County Public Health Director, with a very important message. We need you to make every effort to protect yourselves and our healthcare workers. If you absolutely don't need to go out, don't. If you have a mild cold or flu-like symptoms, with or without a fever, stay home. If your symptoms are severe, call your healthcare provider. Do not go to the emergency room or urgent care. Do not call 911 or go to the ER unless you are experiencing a life-threatening emergency. The best ways you can help prevent the spread of COVID-19 are to wash your hands often with soap and water, cover your cough, avoid close contact with others. Please stay home.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
And welcome back to WNY News Now. Joining us is Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell with more on the county and how they're responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. Executive Wendell, thanks so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
First off, let's get the latest on yesterday's confirmed case. What can you tell us about this person?
We were reported it was a 22-year-old female that lives in the Asheville area. She did have recent travel to New York City and has returned, and that's the information I was given.
So do we know any more about her local travel history when she came back from New York City?
At this time, the county health department, their epidemiology staff is looking into that and tracing her contacts. So at this time, I haven't been informed as to what contacts she's had locally, but Christine Schuyler and her team are working on it at the present time. So that's where we stand.
I see. So is this, can you talk about a little bit about that investigation process then, and what's that like? Is it almost kind of like the police after a crime is committed, where they try to go back in time and see what has happened and where the person has been?
They do, and a lot of it has to do with when the patient is symptomatic, because that's the belief as to when they are most contagious, as I understand it. So what they do is they go back and, try to find out where the person has been. And obviously, Justin, if we could tell everybody, this would be a whole lot easier if, our people in town, were staying home and staying safe. That would help the quarantine. Now, I'm not saying that this person didn't do that. Again, I'm not sure the full circumstances of this, but, as we have seen, and as you will see that you've expressed, tracking and tracing this person's contacts could be challenging, because if they haven't quarantined or if they haven't stayed home or tried to isolate themselves, then, they could have had contacts in various different places. And therefore, that list, if you will, would get bigger and bigger. But a lot of people are, following the guidance. They are staying home and going out for only essential travel. And, hopefully as that comes into effect, the epidemiology team will have a little bit easier way to track these individuals. But, as of right now, all I know is that they are tracking them. And, it is a little challenging. They have to go back and find out, where the person was, who they may have come in contact with, et cetera. So, the staff is working hard. They're working diligently, as they have on our other two cases as well. So again, as this mobilizes, they're doing a really good job, and they'll get that information out and, follow that person's contact.
Now, the last update from health officials yesterday afternoon reports that there are now 14 people under a mandatory quarantine, and we know those include the 3 people who have the confirmed cases, but who else is under that mandatory quarantine?
Those exact people, I'm not 100% sure, but if we look at the guidelines put forth in yesterday's press release, it says, confirmed positive case or a household contact of a confirmed positive case. So, they may have found out that these people live with, their families. Their families are under mandatory quarantine, and what they have to realize is that contact with the person, it is positive. So once that happens, then those persons are asked to go to that mandatory quarantine.
Okay. Can you tell us what the difference is between that mandatory quarantine, the precautionary quarantine, and now this new mandatory isolation that was talked about in yesterday's press release?
Certainly. So, the precautionary quarantine is somebody that's had travel history to a CDC level 3 or has had proximal contact with a confirmed case of COVID-19. And by proximal, that means, exactly, I'm not the definition as far as distance, et cetera, but that means, close contact or contact that they may have been in a meeting or, have had contact with the person, obviously not living with them. The next one is mandatory isolation. And those individuals, there are about 19 pending 40 people that are in pending lab results. So they are showing signs and symptoms of the COVID-19 virus, and they're waiting for those lab results to come back. When they do, then we're ahead of the curve a little bit in already requiring that mandatory isolation. So we're helping them out and waiting for those test results. The newest test, I was told, came back in about 2 to 3 days. So a little bit better. The testing results are coming back quicker than originally. I think our first case was 5 days or more. The next one was between 3 and 5. So the turnaround, if you will, for the results have been increasing, thus giving the county the ability to contact the person and their contacts and get a quicker response to our positive cases.
Now, for both of the quarantines and isolations, have you seen any pushback from people? Is anyone reluctant to want to try to take these steps?
I have not heard that. And honestly, I don't think we would. I think people realize that, with our confirmed cases, that it is here in Chautauqua County and we need to take those measures. And if we follow the guidelines and recommendations, that we should help mitigate the spread of this disease. And, Dr. Zucker from the New York State Department of Health Commissioner said it themselves, we are the ones who will help one another. Staying home, staying safe is their motto, which I really support that 100%. And also, again, if people follow these recommendations and guidelines, that we will, with vigilance, be able to mitigate the spread through Chautauqua County. But like anywhere else, as the testing increases and as these results come back, we do know there will be an upswing in our reported positive cases.
Now, as for local hospitals, do you know how they're dealing with the virus? Nationwide, it seems like there's still that shortage of supplies. Is that the case here too?
As I'm aware, our hospitals do have their PPEs, personal protective equipment. We do know supplies are running low. We've reached out to the hospitals. They know how to get in touch with John Griffith, our emergency services director, and how they can get those supplies as we get them as well. Also, hospitals are able to reach out to the state and submit requests for their equipment to go directly to the hospital as opposed to coming to the county and then the county distributing those safety. So, we're keeping the hospitals informed on how to get that equipment, but we're also making sure that the equipment that we do have, we can get to the hospitals as they need.
Now, last week we heard that TLC Lakeshore in northern Chautauqua County might reopen to help in the containment effort. Is there anything new in regards to that facility coming back online?
I haven't heard anything new right now. I know the focus has been in the upswing of cases down in the eastern part of the state. So our Assemblyman Gilio and Andy Goodell, also George Borrello, are in-state, are in-county. Borrello and Goodell have worked feverishly. They made a presentation to the governor and his staff and expressed the strategic location of TLC, a lot of the things that TLC would provide, seeing as how it closed a little over a month ago. So having said that, the governor, it's on his radar. Now, whether and when that happens, we do not know. But, the governor, I think heard him say today, we'll turn the state upside down to find hospital beds. So we've alerted him to the availability of TLC, and we're just waiting for any sort of word that hospital needs to be up and running, or et cetera. But that'll come from the state and along with guidance.
Now back to that PPE equipment. In the last few days, your office, the governor, and even President Trump has been calling on businesses to try to help fill the need for these medical supplies. Have we seen any local businesses change their production to help?
Certainly. As of Sunday, I got information of a local company in Brockton, Jamestown Plastics, of all names, a Jamestown name in the town of Brockton. But Jay Baker and his staff have created a face shield that is reusable, that can be washed and sanitized and used more than one time. So again, they started Sunday, and yesterday they rolled out a prototype. I met with John Griffith, Dr. Robert Burke, one of our medical directors. We were there on site, looked at the piece of equipment, tried it on. It felt very comfortable. It's a great idea, and they really, they kind of knocked it out of the park. Jay and his staff have done a tremendous job. And right now, we put that on the NISAC website. He does have production capability to large quantities. We've also, Jay and his staff have reached out to New York State, also the federal government. So if there are any more, please contact my office, and we will get that information on the NISAC website. We talk every evening at 7 p.m. We share ideas throughout the day and share, successes we've had in our county. So, hats off to Jamestown Plastics. Great product. We're going to get that out. Their crew have already started looking at distribution on a very large scale. We were told production could be as high as 64,000 items a day, which is phenomenal and will help that. And what it is, Justin, is some great ingenuity. They saw the need, they heard the governor's call for help, and they answered. And, hats off to him and his staff, his design staff. His son and his friend have worked feverishly. Whatever kind of a nomination for awards we could get them, we will, because they really have done a nice job.
Yeah, for real. It's amazing to see that businesses here, we always talk about this, the community coming together locally, and there's no shortage of that now. Finally, what's the best thing for everyday citizens, people in our community to do to help stop the spread of COVID-19?
In the words, stay home, stay safe. We really need to realize that, keeping that social distance, and it's hard. You look outside right now, there's a beautiful sun. You'll see it behind me. In this time of year, we want to be outside. We've been cooped up all winter long. Now, we're not saying you can't be outside in your lawn doing things around your house, but it's traveling to those areas. As I went by traveling to Brockton yesterday. There was a hardware store full of cars. There was a winery that had cars, about 7 to 8 cars in their parking lot. On the way home, I went past Walmart again, probably 50 to 70 cars in their parking lot. People need to realize this is a real situation. It is a crisis. The numbers are skyrocketing. We've been able to mitigate those numbers here in Chautauqua County. And I believe that we've been able to do that because our residents have been diligent and also staying home and listening to our recommendations. But, stay home, stay safe. That's the message I want to spread throughout Chautauqua County. Essential travel. If you are sick, call a friend, ask them to go pick up some items for you, or ask the stores. I know there's a couple of stores throughout Chautauqua County that are offering curbside pickup. They'll take your orders, get it ready for you, and bring it out to you, or bring it out to the curb. You can pick it up. So again, Chautauqua County residents are really coming together. They're really uniting for this cause. And in the end, I know I have a slogan I've been, putting out there is hashtag CHQ strong. So as a community, as a county, we will be CHQ strong, and we will continue to do what's right, not only for us, but for your neighbor too. And that's a big part of our county residents, of helping their neighbor in times of need.
Yeah, certainly, and we'll share that hashtag CHQ Strong. Chautauqua County Executive PJ Wendell, thank you so much for joining us today. We know you are busy, and we really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Justin.
All right, let's now get a check of our weather forecast with Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter.
CH Strong, I like that, or CHC Strong, I think it was. Anyway. CHQ Strong. I like that. That's a nice hashtag. We started the day at 34 degrees this morning. 38 was the high yesterday. Again, those sucked in clouds yesterday, and that northerly wind didn't help us too much in the temperature department. In terms of rain, not a whole lot to measure. Most everybody didn't have a whole lot of rain to measure last night, but some of the gauges did gauge about 1/10 of an inch, even less than that, 1/100th of an inch in most spots. So not a whole lot of rain to measure, so who cares? It's done and over with. And we just talked about it. Get out. PJ just mentioned it. Get out with the weather, but please keep your distance. I mean, social distancing, 6 feet. I mean, with the weather, we all need to get out. We've been cooped up in the house. But again, just keep your distance if you're going out, doing something, especially in the yard, or if you're going to take a walk or whatever. Just, mind social distancing. Just keep your distance and we'll be okay here. So again, temperatures inland areas today here, maybe mid to upper 40s in especially some spots. Once you get up into the hills and the valleys, you'll likely stay a little bit cooler, mid 50s here. Now, once you work off to the west here near the Lake Erie shoreline, warmer here today. Temperatures lower 50s actually, and that Lake Erie water temperature at 37 degrees. Of course, we can't wait to take everything out on Lake Erie this summer here. Frontal boundary has basically stalled across the area. This is why we had the rain this morning. Even though high pressure is back to our west, this boundary is actually being the focal point for a few showers this morning. All of that has ended, and the afternoon should be partly cloudy in most areas. Here it is on a future scan. Nothing through the day, nothing tonight. It'll be quiet. Tomorrow starts dry, maybe a spotty shower, especially early in the morning. We talked about that yesterday. And then as we head into the afternoon, the new model guidance has kind of uptick the arrival time of some of the rain. So again, we could see a few rain showers, especially later in the day tomorrow going into tomorrow night. Friday should be mainly dry, just a scattered shower. Now let's talk about the weekend, because this is the bigger idea here as we're going into the weekend here. This storm hasn't even developed yet, so please understand this is all subject to change. The storm hasn't developed yet, but once it does, we're thinking this thing is going to develop possibly around the Texas Panhandle. It's going to take a track through the Midwest and then come up through the upper Great Lakes based on the current guidance. Because of that, you can see that we're going to be on the warmer side of this system. So we're going to see some rain in here Saturday and Sunday. The big debate is the exact timing and how much. Some of the model guidance shows moderate to heavy rain as this thing actually moves to our northwest, but some of the model guidance doesn't show heavy rain, rather nuisance showers. So, and again, this all needs to be fine-tuned here as we go throughout the week. So that is looking for the weekend. For tonight, temperatures not bad, not as nippy. 36 to 43 will be our morning lows tomorrow. Clouds hang tough, though, rather uneventful. Next 7 days of your life are coming up right now. 56 tomorrow. And again, there's that spotty shower chance, but it's only a small chance. They're mostly cloudy on Friday. Small chance of a rain shower there. The weekend, wet and mild as we head into Sunday. We've actually upped the rain chances on Sunday a little bit with that storm system passing close to us. High pressure returns early next week, and then looking down the road, another storm system could be in here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which could produce snow. But again, that is way out in voodoo country. We still need to obviously, fine tune that along with the weekend, but we'll keep you updated right here. Jay?
All right, Dakota, thank you very much. And we thank you all so much for joining us here on WNY News Now as we continue to put facts over fear. And we do want to make you aware of this great resource where if you still have questions, where you don't know what to do, how to stay safe, cleaning tips, things like that, we have set up a special web page with information from both local officials and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. You can get more information at WNYNewsNow.com/coronavirus. And as Executive Wendell says, if you can, get outside, enjoy the weather, but please, please, please make sure that you practice safe social distancing. That's going to do it for us. Of course, we're back tomorrow. We'll see you then.